Hey, I'm Mike from Retro Boost. Today I got another commentary video. Today we are up to episode 4 on Kirby and the Crystal Shards, which, if I'm thinking correctly, is the second N64 game I did for the channel. So now let's just actually, before I start it, as far as like alternate takes and goofs go, I scanned through everything before starting this recording session, and I got nothing to show you. Nothing that isn't already in the Revisit Volume 1 gag reel, and it's not even much. It's like 2, maybe 1 thing. But I still got stuff to talk about, just so I don't have any alternate takes or anything. It was a very simple shoot, which is why, and that's the same case with a lot of the ones I'll be doing. So the commentary I provide is more about the making of, my opinions on the whole production, how the production was made, talking about the game, that kind of stuff. So let's get started. 3, 2, 1, engage. And look, it's that sweater. I think this is the second one with the sweater, yeah. Star Fox is when I got rid of it.
It's from Bob. Okay.
So,
Let's give it a read.
This is like pretty much the conclusion of the Bob arc. Not that there was much to it, but he wanted to go on vacation in the Godzilla episode, and I said no, and he threw me against the table. And then he goes on vacation, and he's just kind of there now. He just left the show, basically. I had a couple of jokes in mind with that character when I first started filming, because I shot all this stuff all back to back. So episodes 1 through 5 were all done back to back to back to back. So I got all my mileage out of Bob, and then just like never used him again. Now this was filmed in late June, early July. That's my backyard. Squirrels. It's very hot is the point. So me being out here for even just 5 minutes, I'm already like visibly sweaty. Miserable.
New record.
Yeah, I don't get out much. It's kind of the joke there, I guess.
All this talk
of
bringing back memories of one.
That's from the opening of the show. Also, my old cartridge setup, because now my cartridges are all
play it again. Long time later,
back there now.
It was on sale at
Changed up the way that I organize them. I did a whole video where I talked about that stuff, but then I cut it just because I changed it so far right afterward.
I had to stare at this game cartridge for like 2 weeks until we
Now, this is a true story I'm telling right here. So, Kirby 64 was one of the Blockbuster rentals. One of the many Blockbuster rentals I did back then, back in the day. So rented it from Blockbuster, thought it was awesome, didn't get very far in it, wanted to keep playing it, and to return it, and we went, my relatives live up north, we went up to visit relatives for like 2 weeks, and like toward the beginning of those 2 weeks we found Kirby 64 on sale at like an EB Games or something. So we got it, and I was like, yeah, I finally have Kirby 64. But I'm up away from home for 2 weeks with no way to play it. I'm not gonna bring my game console with me on vacations like that to visit family. So I just had it. It was like a toy. Like I'm just looking at it, just like I'll play you one day. So yeah, it's a pretty nostalgic game for me. I think it's pretty good. Even now, I think it's pretty good. I think everything that's come afterward. I think Superstar is probably like objectively my favorite Kirby game. Kirby's Return to Dreamland, I think, is pretty good.
As an added bonus,
I've played a lot of the portable ones. I mean, they're all very similar to Superstar. Every game is basically just trying to be the next Superstar, and I don't really think that any of them have truly exceeded the legacy. But like Squeak Squad was really good, despite the silly name, and like presentation is pretty good. So this is the second game also that I'm breaking out the Rumble Pack for. The Rumble Pack. Alright, shush.
The Kirby games haven't changed
silence
much
this
across
for
the
a
different
second
console
here.
generations. They're all pretty much
I
the
have a
same
new
idea.
smart plug that I forgot to engage that turns off Alexa.
And his principal ability is the ability to inhale
Huh.
opponents and
Disarmed.
steal their powers for himself. It's called the copy
My
ability.
apologies.
Every
Having a
main
smart
Kirby
home.
game has this feature. Kirby 64, though, takes it in a new direction. You
was I
now
saying?
have the ability to combine copy abilities. So combine
I'm
fire
all
with
lost.
the bomb ability to make
Well,
fireworks.
Kirby's
stuff
well,
like
the
that.
Kirby games in general.
There
Like, I
are
think Squeak
28
Squad was
unique
pretty good for what it
abilities
was.
you can craft from this mix
The
and
remake
match
of
component.
Superstar
This
was
never
a lot of
used
fun.
ever again, to my knowledge, at least,
I haven't
in the
played a
Kirby
lot of the
games, which is
earlier
kind of a
ones
shame.
for DS
But
though,
it is very cool.
like
It makes the game very
Canvas
unique
Curse
compared to
and
many of the other entries in the
stuff like
series.
that. I haven't played those because I didn't have a Game Boy, and I didn't have any
Let's dig
portable
into the
stuff
story now.
until like
This game
pretty late in
has
the
a lot of
DS's
cutscenes,
lifespan.
at least in
Is
the
when I got my
beginning,
first
and they kinda
Nintendo
taper off,
DS.
but
Like
they
it was
come back
already
again toward
like the
end.
DSi
And
was
I always really
already
liked that about
out
this
at
game
that
when I was a
point.
kid. It was always fun to see the little movies play out with these characters.
So like I didn't
let's check out
have
the story mode. What are
for
we dealing with here?
during its peak.
Open up on
But I got a
totally
3DS the day it came
probable
out though.
planet that
I remember
definitely
getting one of
exists
those.
somewhere, with some peaceful fairy
Oh, that's
folk.
what it was, Rumble Pack.
Their
So,
planet gets invaded
yeah, this
by
game,
some
a lot of
kind
games have support for the Rumble Pack, and I
parasitic
did try it out, but it's not.
that wants to take their
Star
crystals.
Fox 64 feels like it was definitely made, like that Rumble Pack and that game just go together very well. It's very smart.
But later in the game,
And I think the intensity is good and the feedback is good. Like Kirby, it wasn't doing much. It wasn't. It was
so
just
I
like,
have no idea what to make of this cutscene. And what doesn't help is that there's no dialogue and there's no text on screen. And that goes for any
Yeah, I think
cutscene in the game.
These
I
cutscenes
suppose
are
if
pretty
you had
cool.
the manual, that would help.
I always enjoyed
but for
them when I was a
N64
kid. It was like a
games, I
movie.
only have like one game that has a manual still from when I was a kid, mainly because the vast majority
Now,
of
this
N64
footage
games I own were bought
Comes from the
in some form.
N64
So I'm
version
kinda lost here with this one.
using composite
But this made me
going
realize
into
something
my
interesting.
capture
Going back
card,
to
and
the
then
no
what I
dialogue and no
do,
text thing, all the
I decided to
cutscenes
switch it
have their audio,
to my
whether it's
Wii,
effects or just music,
the Virtual Console
comprised
version
of,
with component
well,
video,
effects
because
and
it does look a lot better.
It's
That's a big thing I've been working on lately, and it's the reason that I haven't had a ton of gaming content the past like 2 weeks or so now. It's because I'm working on a major revision with my setup. I mentioned that in the Godzilla Revisit commentary video that I did recently too.
It's kind of interesting that the cutscenes
It's almost
don't have
done.
any kind of
I'm waiting
dialogue.
on some
Characters
parts
will,
that are
like,
coming from the
speak and say
United
things
Kingdom.
to each other
Like no
on
joke.
screen, but there's no
But the
words.
benefit is,
Rather, it's like little
if I
musical
had this
effects.
stuff
I think it's kinda
back when I
charming.
was making
That's
this
what you
video,
need.
I could have used that
The
N64
Kirby games,
version
Kirby
confidently,
himself, like, never had
and it would have
dialogue.
looked gorgeous.
The few games that had dialogue that I can think of, it was primarily narration.
This video, I also have this couch
but there
thing
is
with the
usually
blanket
these
on it.
text.
I did that in a couple
Kirby
videos. I don't really
Superstar,
know why. I
for
think I'm just trying to make
instance,
the
has
couch
lot
look a
of
little
dialogue
more
in the Meta Knight chapter.
flavorful.
So it's interesting for them not to do text again in some form and rather do this kind of
But
like
I don't know,
cutesy
I'm
little
still
cartoon,
working on trying to figure out a good
musically
angle
oriented cutscene
to
style.
shoot from. I
And
don't totally like
if
this.
you go
You
into the
can't see my
sound
hands,
tests
you know.
and the options,
It's a process.
the cutscenes are the last chunk of soundtracks. You're just listening to the cutscene.
Yeah, that's weird.
Which is really
Like the
weird that
cutscenes
they've
are
included.
tracks
'Cause you can watch
on the
the cutscenes
soundtrack, so
separately
like
if
you
you want
play
to.
it and you're listening to it, and
So
like you're hearing the
it's an
little effects for
interesting way to
characters
do it, and I think it works
interacting
really
with
well
each
for the
other and
Kirby
talking and
aesthetic,
whatnot. It's definitely strange.
Getting back to the story.
But it
It's
is
up to
it is a
Kirby
cute
and
game. It's got
friends
really
to
good
collect all the
presentation.
crystal shards
Kirby's
to
adorable
rebuild
as
the large
always. I
crystal
think the
featured
music
in the
is
opening of the
largely
game.
pretty
Every
awesome.
level has 3 crystal shards.
I don't really care
plus
for any of
one
the
that gets
soundtracks in
rewarded
the
at the end
first
of each
world,
in the
but
form of a boss fight.
a lot of the
So,
stuff that comes
pretty
later,
straightforward,
like on
although the
Aquastar
crystal shards
and
themselves aren't always
Neo
easy to
Star
find. The first
and
world
Shiverstar
pretty much hands you
soundtracks, I
each-
think, are
each
all
one.
pretty
There's a
awesome.
couple that are hidden off screen, but it gets far more complicated as the game continues.
Yeah, getting all the
Every
crystal
world
shards, like
will
you
end
have to
in
get
a
all
boss
of them
fight.
to
When you
face
defeat
the true
boss,
final
you're able to
boss and get the
proceed
real
to next
ending.
world.
It's
So
not
pretty
hard though.
straightforward.
Like
It's
the
a linear
world
platformer.
record
You're able to
speed
get to
run
the levels no matter how
for
many
doing like
crystal shards you
100%
collecting all of them,
in
however,
this
is
game.
required to
It's
get the
like
best ending.
barely an hour. I think less even.
Before we go
Because like I
any
mentioned
further, I wanna
before,
go
when
ahead
I
and
was
just
younger
make
and I would
sure
get stuck in a
announce it
video
so you're,
game,
not confused, like,
I would
what's
try to
going on.
find
I'm gonna
like a
change
video
from the
walkthrough. I've
N64
always
version to
preferred
the
video
Virtual
walkthroughs to
Console
text
version.
walkthroughs.
The main reason being the video quality.
A great
N64,
example
like, I'm not
being
playing this on an
a game I'm
emulator on
playing right
PC.
now.
I'm using the actual
So
game
if anyone's
console.
watching this now,
So
here comes
N64 video
some
quality,
hidden
just
knowledge
going
for an
through this
upcoming
capture
Revisit
system
episode.
doesn't
I'm
hold
playing
up
the
all
Star
that
Trek
well
game
for
for
the
Super
capture cards I
Nintendo,
got,
and there's like this
so
puzzle where you have to like
Gonna go with the
arrange
Virtual Console version, because the Wii's gonna output
circuit
components
boards
that'll
in
look
the
a lot
correct
crisper,
order
cleaner,
to
no
build
fuzz, so
pathways for
give you
wires to
something better
follow.
look at.
and the level is huge to walk around to find the circuit boards, and you get like twice as many as you actually need, so a lot of them aren't even necessary. So like just sitting there, and I was sitting there for like 40 minutes just trying to like figure out, maybe not 40, but it was like getting close to half an hour of just like sitting there rearranging the stuff, trial and error. There's no feedback if it's wrong or right. You just have to look at it and think, does that look right? So I go to look up, like, all right, I give up. Look up a walkthrough here, and like, you know, I get like a game facts walkthrough where the person like draws out the solution with like, you know, lines and asterisks and stuff. It doesn't help me. It's like worse than just trying to guess. So I'm like, oh, just prefer video. The point being that when I would look up video stuff about games, it's usually speed runs. Like I would go to Speed Demos Archive all the time and download
they're all just really simple. It kind of feels
speedruns and like use those as a guide, and like that caused problems for certain games because, like, you know, I look up like Metroid Fusion, for example. Well, the stuff that they do in those speedruns isn't something that a casual player would want to do, but like, you know, as far as I was concerned, that's how you do it, and that's what I try to do. So, yeah, that's like the most powerful ability in the game, is that lightsaber thing. It's pretty cool. Which they're usually held behind barriers that can only be broken by specific combinations of the combining copy ability thing is such a great idea when they made this game. It's such a killer idea. Like, that is just like textbook video game sequel. We're gonna make a sequel to a Kirby game. Kirby absorbs powers and you use them. Well, how can we take it to the next level, guys? Combine them. Yeah! The only problem is, number one, only like 2 abilities, maybe 3 tops, have like multiple moves, and even then it's just like 2 things, compared to Superstar, where like every ability had like a full-on crazy moveset and combos, with some exception. I think the stone ability only had 1. Like, most things could do a handful of maneuvers to make it fun. So it's a shame, and I'm talking about that right now in the video, so it's a shame that when they put together this N64 version, that each one of these abilities didn't have like 2 or 3 moves. I'm not asking for like everything to be like the fighter copy ability from Superstar, where it has just all this stuff happening. It doesn't need to be that extreme, but it shouldn't have been 1. It's way too simple, because, I mean, it's just like a fad. You get the one that you have the double fire ability, and you use it 2 times, and you're like, alright, done with that, you throw it away. You get bomb, double bomb, alright, done with that, throw it away. Like, you're never really satisfied, so what you end up doing is you only want to use the ones that are cool, that have like more than 1 move. Like the lightsaber and the flame sword and the bow and arrow is pretty fun. So, you know, you're only using those abilities the whole time. So that's like one thing that I definitely hold in contempt with this game, but it's still really good. Yeah, this is the Wii version now. It's so better, but I got a solution in the works here. A couple of cool products that I've been made aware of that I just didn't ever think of before. That is, 2021 is going to be really nice for the channel, for all my content.
Changes it up, and you're in this kind of like
yeah, this is a good point. It's like the variety
temple area, and then you go to underwater cavern,
so the variety of the levels. I don't know if I explained it very well. Like, what I'm trying to say is, even though it's like, oh, Rockstar, it's going to be a desert world, and like that's mostly true. Like there's like 2 levels that are like in a desert, but it takes that desert theme and like does stuff with it, like a underwater like cave with sand pouring in, or the Oasis temple ruins. It's all still themed around a desert, but they're all so different from each other. It's not just like 6 different ice levels all in a row like what you would see with like a Mario Bros game. That's not meant as a shot toward Mario, because they have excellent little obstacle variety in the levels too. But like, I mean, look at this. The same world with like a level that went through the clouds has a level that goes through this hell factory, you know? It's neat. They're all so different. It's almost like if you had Mario Bros, like New Super Mario Bros, World 1, is a grass world, but like the levels are all still just so fantastically varied. Like one's just in the plains, and then one's going up a grassy mountainside. You know, the theme is there, but the levels are so different. So this is like a cold, isolated winter factory. It almost looks like a demonic toy factory. That's the kind of vibe that I get from it.
Like I've said a couple
but it's cool. That level's pretty great. It's hard. I actually died there a couple times getting all the crystal shards.
Is that none of the boss fights are
it's not in the video.
difficult. It isn't a bad thing.
It's a bow and arrow. Bow and strategy.
Difficult. If you go
Because
into
the bow and
a
arrow
boss fight with the
it
right
follows the
combo,
ring. So like watch this, like
destroy the boss with
it like turns. It's
If you were
awesome.
to
It's
go
like a
with
sniper.
No copy ability. That's like playing the game on.
The
hard
bosses
mode.
are really
You have
good.
to rely
I
on
got it, man. Yeah,
projectiles,
fighting the bosses without
spawn,
copy abilities is
attacks,
tough because they
retaliate
take like no
damage,
damage from
and those kind of
basic
attacks that you
inhales
do
and exhales.
Don't do much. That isn't usually
That
every
footage
problem.
right there is
You can
from
always
Boss
go into a
Rush,
fight with whatever copy
which I
ability
could
you
not
want,
get past
since you
that
can
boss in.
freely exit worlds,
Because
enter
it is pretty
levels,
tough. With practice, you could do it. I
combo
mean,
ability,
the
exit
lava
back out,
one
and
is
go into a
seems
boss
like it's
fight.
pretty easy without copy abilities.
That definitely turns the
Might have to
odds.
throw myself at the robot thing a couple times.
Even though you can prepare,
But Miracle Matter
being swayed in your
forces
favor,
you.
That doesn't mean the boss fights aren't still fun.
Yeah, so
They're
this is a
all
cool thing too. You
well-animated,
can leave a
music's
level,
really
go
upbeat,
into an
they're
older
really
level,
Some of the
get a
standout
better
ones, I
copy
remember
ability,
the second
exit
boss
the
fight
level, and then
from
go back to where you
Rockstar,
were
particularly
now
this
with the
kid,
new
had a lot of
copy
trouble
ability.
against this guy. The first
It gives
part
you
of
a
this fight
better
is just endurance,
a way to
just
like
avoiding
tackle
the
bosses
attacks
more
that he's gonna
efficiently.
throw at you.
Gosh,
But once you get to the
I
top
also
of this
never really
elevator,
realized
you're at
that
the
you don't
top.
have to
This is
use
also
these
one of the
colors,
boss
I
fights that
guess,
actually kinda
to hit
rewards you
them.
for not bringing a copy ability into it, because if you spit these projectiles back at the right color of enemy, it'll do bonus.
Yeah,
damage
like
and
it does.
fight
It
a
does
lot
more
quicker.
damage to do it that way.
Some other
But you
standout
still
boss
do
fights are
damage
this
with like any
killer
other
whale
ability. I
from
never
the
knew that.
fight
I just
on
like assumed that
Rockstar.
you were supposed to
There's a
like
giant
survive that
robot
first
that
phase,
transforms on
and then the
Shiverstar.
showdown at the top of the tower.
Great.
That boss is
The last
deceptively
boss fight, though,
easy,
is
but
one
also
that's
with the
worth
right
a
ability.
deeper study.
So like,
Last
fireworks
boss
weren't the
on
best.
Star, which is the last normal level of the game, is
Miracle Matter. Oh my god.
Miracle Matter works a lot
Great music.
different
My
than
favorite
the other
soundtrack
bosses
from the
in this
game, 100%
For
is
any other
his
encounter,
theme.
you
It's
can
so
bring
it's
in
so
whatever
epic.
copy ability you want, and you'll deal damage. Some are
It
more
also never
effective
occurred to
than
me that I
others,
could
just
just
in terms of how they deal damage,
inhale
but
one of his
everything is
objects.
effective.
You swallow it, you
Miracle
gain
Matter,
that
it's a
element.
lot different.
So now it's like, oh, now I'm fire Kirby, and you can use the fire attack. I never realized that either until playing it for the show, and it makes it a lot easier, truthfully. But I mean, the electric one, the bomb one, are the two killers. Like those are the ones that were always hitting me. I almost got a game over because of him. I mean, you can watch the counter go down. I made sure to edit this in order. So like it's 5 is where it starts, and you'll just watch that go down.
Because you can't just rely on the same ability non-stop. You have to be able to react and change and make quick decisions, because it's also really easy to kind of fumble yourself and fall prey to these attacks as you're attempting to inhale them for yourself. It's a very cool boss fight. It's definitely my favorite in the whole game. Probably one of my favorites from the whole franchise, to be honest. And his music is also pretty awesome. It starts off, just listen to it.
Yeah, it's all peaceful, and then bam, 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 bam. I mean, that theme in the beginning tells you like this is different. This is a different kind of boss than what I've faced before. Like it's evil.
I like it a lot.
It's a death match, folks.
Let's finish this. In order to defeat Miracle Matter, every single one of his
I did so poorly fighting him during the capture portion of this production that I basically decided that he needs to have like his own section of content come the actual episode. Like I was planning on talking about him a good bit because I love him, but yeah, this whole like bit here where it's me failing, I mean that was really happening. I was kind of blown away that it took me that many tries to beat him. And they would all come down to the wire. Like every single one of them was coming with me with 1 or 2 hits left. Like it was never clean.
They actually travel off screen and then re-enter from the opposite side.
Yeah, those are
and
weird.
There's so many that it's hard to keep track of where they're gonna come in and out of, and that caused a lot of problems for me personally. The bomb one's also difficult because he spawns a number of projectiles that split before you can take advantage and fight back. So these two were the ones I always struggled with the most. The rest aren't that hard to deal with once you kind of figure out the patterns to look for.
Boulder was
But
pretty tough too,
as each
actually,
one is
because
hit 3 times, it'll
the
be
better
deceiving.
thing to do is to not use the
Get
copy
close
ability, because
now.
like that, you get
Close.
knocked out of it.
Boy.
It's better just to swallow it. Okay, so here we go. So 5. Fire truck.
Well, I didn't expect to beat it the first time. Still getting in the swing of things. Round 2.
Camera crooked,
Bring
or
it
is it
on.
just me?
Ready for
The
more.
camera's crooked.
This is the one. I have it in my control. The last ability's fire. All I gotta do is get the...
I mean, yeah, like it's so silly.
I can't even blame anybody but myself for that one. That's just me. Try it again.
Slide, slide! Oh, it should have slid.
It's coming down the wire. Okay, this is the one. I can already feel it. But this is the one.
I mean, there was like almost nothing I could have done
From
there.
behind. Man, that electric one is the most dangerous. It is. They just clear the screen. They come off. They come back. They come around, and then they just get you. Okay. Try it again. The last one is stone. I got you this time. I got you this time.
There we go. See, like I said, one hit left.
Did it. One hit. One hit. That came down to the wire. It always came down to the wire. Oh my gosh. Never have a clean run with this.
And then you beat him, and you get
But
this
there we
like
go.
fake ending,
Miracle Matter defeated. Final boss.
which I never
crystal
really
obtained.
understood this ending as a
Here's
kid.
our
I just
ending.
thought that like
Everyone's celebrating, having
the
a
darkness
good time.
flees the
darkness
planet,
is sent
it's gone,
packing
but like
to run away
the little
to space, probably to go
princess
infect some other
chick
planet.
makes
We're
that
just,
glaring
pushing the problem
face,
away. We
and
didn't
like
actually solve the
my
problem.
childlike
But
brain
here we
was
go.
like,
Everyone's
oh, it's
happy,
because she's jealous
having a
that
good
she
time.
didn't save the day.
Friends are saying goodbye.
But as an adult, you see this and you're like, oh, well, it's because they're hinting at something more.
That look for evil look.
Like, what do you know that I don't know?
So when I was a kid, I thought that little glare was like.
Because I must have beat this
she was
game. I must have
jealous
beat
that
Miracle
she
Matter
didn't
like
save the
100
day
times when I
or
was a kid.
something.
I thought
Or
that
she
was the
like,
real ending. It
"This
never,
really
it
solved the
never
problem.
occurred to me
Give me a break.
that I had to
But
get
now
all
as
the
an
crystal
adult, when I see
shards
it,
to
I'm
get
like,
the
oh,
true
man,
ending,
it's
because
totally
it's
not
tracking
always
it on
right.
like level
It's the
select, but it's
universe.
not exactly telling you like
So
you have to
that
get
was
them
the
all, son.
Bad ending, I guess, if you want to
Like
label
it's not, it doesn't get
as
communicated
such.
to you that way.
To get the best ending, we're gonna have to collect every single crystal shard in every level, and then fight Miracle Matter.
A couple of
again.
them are kind of tedious to
Oh,
get.
joy.
You got to bring the right
So
copy ability
let's
into it,
buckle
and it can be
down and
hard
get 100%. I
to
mean, how hard
defeat
could it
certain
be?
mini bosses with certain abilities. That one was a tough one. The dynamite one was really tough. The thunderbolt one at the top was also really tough. That took a couple tries. And you could just quit out as soon as you get a little glow tells you. That's the second time I've done it. So you can just quit out as soon as you get them too. Like, you don't have to finish the
Let's take
level.
on
Again,
Miracle
it's
Matter
pretty
one more time.
forgiving in that regard.
After getting all the crystal shards and fighting Miracle Matter, we now
Did better
get
that
the
time. I had
true
3
ending.
hits left.
Obviously, spoilers
Learning.
for what comes ahead here, because we're going into the real ending plus the final boss.
So
The
then
darkness is
we get like an
expunged from the planet
exorcism.
and blows up in orbit. Very different from the other ending where it just ran away. But that's not all. The now reforged crystal actually expels darkness from the fairy leader. She was possessed the whole time. This thing doesn't go away though. It starts to grow, prompting Kirby to call the warp star, and this initiates the true final.
little cell phone. Into the void.
So now here we are at the very
Music
end.
on this level is pretty good.
We have
It's
to go through
super
a
short though.
little
It's like
course here, avoid
it's
a
like
couple
under
of
30
basic
seconds.
enemies.
You could
All
probably
your
get through
friends
it.
Wish you luck upon the way, and then you get launched into the final battle. And here's the final boss. Whoa, there is a lot going on with this thing. His name is 02. Why is it 02 and not just 0? Well, this guy was also the final boss of Kirby's Dream Land 3.
Yeah, I
So,
never played much of that
Kirby
game.
and the Crystal Shards is like a sequel to that. And just like Kirby
Never-
64,
like, I never
to
really
fight
knew
him
that
in Kirby's
Kirby
Dream Land
64
3, you'd have to get 100%.
Is like part of the
which I
Dreamland
never have
canon.
done that, but I do have some footage of him from the beginning of the game at
A
least.
lot of the
Very
same
similar looking
characters,
stuff
like the
happening here,
artist.
right?
and whatnot.
But the
Same
thing about Zero
true final
2
boss.
is, man,
The orca
his
whale
design is
thing,
just all
you
over
know?
the place. It's like 5 different
Never
people
knew that.
came together and they all had their own ideas for a final boss. And it's like, mine's an angel. Mine's a thorned snake. Mine's a Satan with a bleeding eye. Mine's a ghost from Mario Bros. Which one do you want, sir? Yes. And there you go.
Forgot the
They
band-aid.
all got it.
I forgot to say that he was in a
It's like,
street
look at
fight
this
and he has a
thing. He has, like,
band-aid on his
band-aid
head.
too.
Like, I
That's
guess
the
the
Revisit
band-aid
in
is
the original,
from
game
Dreamland
he
3.
appeared in. But fighting him,
He's not hard though. That's a pretty easy
fight,
final
not gonna
boss.
lie.
I remember
You just
playing this
shoot
with a
pew
friend
pew,
for like
into his eye.
10 minutes
That
2
prompts
years
him
ago,
to lean
and we
forward,
booted
you
it
can
up
shoot
and
the
just
halo
booted it
band-aid,
right to
and
this
then
fight,
you
and I
fall
beat it.
backward,
Like,
you
I
can
didn't even
shoot
have to
his tail,
practice.
which
It's
is
just-
true weak spot.
It's
You'd
just-
think
it's
it'd be
not
his
hard.
cranium where the band-aid is, but it's his tail. So you shoot it. It really only takes like 2 phases, and you could take him down, and then kaboom! He viciously explodes, and Kirby is the winner.
Self-destruct.
Then find
sequence
ourselves in like a
activated.
kind of Star Wars / Star Fox-esque ceremony sequence.
Everyone
All
gets
of
a
our
crystal.
characters are getting
They
medals
expel
of honor for
evil
their
spirits.
brave deeds.
Very handy.
Kirby gets a little peck on the cheek and he collapses, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's
They have like a
embarrassing us
fairy
again."
guard back there with
And
like
the
a
game
spear
is
made
finally
from the
over.
crystal I saw. Never noticed that before.
Well, that wraps up Kirby 64. That game held up a lot better than I
So
ever
there
thought it
is
would.
I'm not going to
Despite
show it.
shortcomings,
There is something,
literal
and there's a reason I'm not going
shortcomings.
to
It is
show
a very
it.
short game.
There is something that
Probably
was
like
cut from
2
this
to
thing that I'm
4
thinking
hours
about
worth
it.
of content, depending on your pace.
I had a different
I've seen people
ending,
beat it
a
in
different ending
barely
part.
an
So
hour
I'm
and
going
a
to tell the
half,
story.
though.
So
And the
when I was
simple
like,
manner in which the copy always works.
seven
But
years old,
despite
give or
those
take,
flaws, it still
maybe
holds up
like
really
10
well, thanks to
at
its
the
charm,
absolute most,
its
but I'm
great
leaning more
level
toward like
design,
7 or 8.
its very catchy
When I was
music,
that age,
fun
playing
boss
this game
fights,
during like the
although
rental
Miracle Manor was a
portion
lot
from
tougher
Best
than I
Buy
remember
or
being.
Best
That's
Buy
more in line
from
with my memories
Blockbuster.
as a kid, though.
When I
was
first
always
ever played it,
terrified of
I
fight.
fell in love with the Kirby
Man, holds up really well. Super fun. If you're a
character.
Kirby fan and you haven't played it yet,
I
check it
drew
out.
a
It's great
picture
game.
of him
And if you're just a casual Nintendo
at
fan
school.
looking for
So
something
this is
new
like,
to explore,
kindergarten or
I still
first grade
recommend
we're
it. Just
talking
go
about
down and have
here.
a good time with it. It's-
Drew a
it's fun.
picture of
It's very
Kirby,
easy to get into.
and I wrote down some
So,
details
Kirby
about him. I
64
said,
held up
Kirby,
very well.
he sucks.
Next time,
He sucks.
not sure yet.
He
I'm sure
either
something
I wrote
will,
something like
present
he
itself.
sucks,
I'll
period,
see you guys when that
or
time comes.
he sucks up bad guys, something like that. So I wrote he sucks, meaning that he inhales things. And the teacher thought that I was saying Kirby sucks. He's awful. But that's not what I meant. And like she pulled me aside and like had a conversation with me because she was like, do you not like Kirby? Like, why are you using language like that? Like, you shouldn't be saying something sucks. And like that's when I had to be like educated about what the word like inhale really means. Like, oh, that's what inhale is for. So I told that little story in this episode. I don't think I told it very well. So I just cut it. But there you go. So there's something that was cut out there. A little story about how little Mike wrote down that Kirby sucks, and his teacher thought that I hated Kirby, and was having an extreme negative attitude about it. But yeah, there we go. Kirby 64. I mean, that's a good game. I think it held up pretty well. It was fun. I think that's like the most like normal episode that I've really ever made. I think I hold this one in pretty similar ground with the Gex one. It's just very simple. There's no like bits or stunts. Nothing really like that happening in it. It's very simple. Not because I was trying to take it easy, but I'm just trying to find like the right balance of what people like and respond to. So I was trying to make episodes that are very minimal. I was trying to make episodes that were very involved, like the Luigi's Mansion one. That one is like extremely involved. Stuff is happening in like outside of the game footage constantly, like bits and jokes with the nun character. So, I'm trying to find that balance. Still am for the most part, to be honest, but good effort. It is also worth noting that is the last video that's 30 frames a second. Everything after this point for revisits is 60 frames a second. Not that that's a big deal. Like, oh, I'm a fancy boy with my 60 frames a second. Like, no, it's just that there were like issues I was working out, like learning how the editing software works, understanding what features to turn on, turn off, and that was the last one where I was struggling to understand why I couldn't get it to render at faster speeds because I capture the camera shoots and the capture card captures at 60 frames a second. So the game runs at 60 FPS too. A lot of games like that do. There are plenty of N64 games that can hit 60 frames a second. Plenty of stuff. Super Nintendo NES. Like, there's a lot of. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of games that do 60 FPS. So I want to show it as I capture it. So this was like one of the last ones where that wasn't the case. But yeah, another interesting fact. But hey, thank you for joining me on this commentary. Plan on getting through all of them because I just want to talk about certain things and preserve some of the memories. So appreciate you watching. Be sure to subscribe to get notifications of new content. I got plenty in the works right now, just going through a major restructuring of my equipment to get the production better. Always want to improve. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.